Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with the Pro Wrestling Logic YouTube channel and the NXT review for the 16th of September 2020. Not the best show, not the worst show. It was kind of here. They made a couple booking decisions that I don't necessarily understand or agree with. The wrestling wasn't too bad, but in comparison to AEW, I would have watched AEW all day over this. So we open up with a women's championship match. I will say NXT women outdo the women on the other two WWE brands and often outdo almost all the women on the AEW brand except for a couple. So I will say the NXT women have always been, I guess, leaders in the industry. Shotzi Blackheart and Io Shirai. Io Shirai obviously defeats Blackheart. Competitive match. She wins after moonsault press. Blackheart offers to shake hands early, but Shirai will have none of it. Blackheart shines early. Actually shines more than I expected someone with her experience level to have, or her level on the brand to have. I kind of expected this to be a little more one-sided than it was, so I'm happy that Blackheart got a chance to shine here. I enjoyed her on the Indies and still enjoy her here. Shotzi gets grounded on the mat and gets a rope break. Shirai does an Asai moonsault to the floor. We go to picture-in-picture, which I hate. Just go to a regular commercial, please. Heat on Blackheart during the commercial break. She does fire back with a comeback. Shirai cuts her off again and applies a crossface. Blackheart escapes, and then Blackheart hits a senton followed by a tiger suplex. And she goes into the cattle mutilation. I guess that really does mean Bryan Danielson is pretty well done if they're giving away his submission. Shirai able to escape. Shirai delivers a tiger fake kick, otherwise known as 619, and a missile drop kick for near fall. Surprised that the missile drop kick wasn't the finish. Anyway, Blackheart fights back and gives Shirai one of the Super Frankensteiner type deals for near fall. Blackheart goes for the counter of a superplex, but Shirai counters and gives Blackheart a kind of scary-looking back suplex on the apron. Ouch. Anyway, Blackheart kicks out, although she shouldn't have. They should have called an audible at that point. Shirai hits running knee strikes and follows up with a moonsault press to score the victory. They shake hands and show respect after the match. Maybe they are friends. They do announce a women's battle royal, oh joy, next week on NXT to determine the number one contender. How about you just, I don't know, book compelling matches that give us number one contenders rather than throwaway battle royals? Anyway, Tommaso Ciampa out next, defeats Desmond Troy in a squash. Ciampa hits the draping DDT, and Ciampa hits quite a number of offensive strikes early, sends him into the bottom rope with the catapult type thing, then hits the Widow's Bell, scores the pinfall. Jake Atlas is out, basically says he's going to avenge what Ciampa did to him. Atlas is just stupid here. He doesn't have the credibility to look good against Ciampa, and Ciampa's facial expression showed it. They haven't built this up enough, so I assume it's just going to be another squash, which Atlas doesn't need. He's a talented kid, but this just doesn't make sense. Literally, Ciampa grabs a folding chair, sits in the middle of the ring while listening to the challenge. Drake Maverick is made to look like a complete and total geek loser. He's interviewed on the outside. He's arriving at the building. Says he can't get a hold of his partner. His partner won't give him an email. His partner won't give him a phone call. His partner has punched him a few times, but he's still his partner. Then we go to an actual good interview. NXT champion Finn Balor cuts a promo talking about himself and re-winning the championship. Says it's the most valuable championship in wrestling or on any WWE brand. He talks about his previous reign as champion, building the brand, going to autograph signings, doing the deal, shaking hands and kissing babies and all that. Now the brand needs him more than he needs it. Balor said he's been waiting 20 years to be in this position, and everybody had better step up now. He said challengers had better line up, and they'd better look both ways before crossing him. Really solid promo, probably the best thing on the show, honestly. Kushida against Austin Theory. I have no problem with them re-getting Kushida over after being gone for a little bit. I do have a problem with it being against Austin Theory because less than, 4 or 5 months ago, you have him on the main roster, and now he's here getting squashed. Really stupid. Anyway, Kushida gets a submission victory with the hoverboard lock. He is super aggressive. Theory cuts promo pre-match saying he's the future and he has an open challenge. Kushida struck literally the second he stepped through the ropes, and Theory is scrambling on the outside. Theory gets cut off very quickly, misses a standing moonsault. Kushida fights back and makes a comeback. Kushida hits a cartwheel drop kick and a handspring kick, and then they go to the outside. Theory gets, run into the post would be the best way to say it. Shoulder breaker on the floor. Kushida stomps on Theory and applies the hoverboard lock. Theory taps out. Kushida is almost a heel type person, and we go to the goofy at home with Johnny Gargano, Candice LeRae stuff. Candice cuts a promo on Tegan Nox, and he's mad that they've spent their wedding anniversary watching television in the great room, or we're stuck watching TV in the great room, all because Nox broke their TV in the living room. LeRae brings up the Battle Royal. Gargano interrupts and says he found a new TV online, and when they both win titles, they will have new TVs. So these are national television stars who can't afford big screen TVs. Okay. Anyway, we go to NXT Tag Team Championships. Breezango, Tyler Breeze and Fandango defeating Imperium, Marcel Bartel and Fabian Aichner to retain the championships. Breeze, Prince, Aichner. This was fine. It's too late for Breezango in my mind to have any real credibility, and Imperium just never did it for me. I would much rather see Danny Burch and I know him as Biff Busick, and I can't think of his WWE name right now. Oney Lorcan, there we go. I'd much rather see them in this position because they haven't been completely squashed out. Anyway, Imperium rushes the ring, attacks before the bell as challengers should. Imperium works over Fandango, Bartel and Aichner cut the ring off. We go to commercial. Fandango makes a comeback when we come back. Breeze gets a tag, runs wild, and Breeze applies a single leg crab, and the Imperium team tries to save themselves. Doesn't really work out very well. Aichner eats a super kick for a near fall, and he fights back, executes a brainbuster on Breeze. Fandango breaks up a pinning attempt. They all fight on the floor. Isn't this like the third time we've seen this in the first 30 minutes of the show, or 90 minutes of the show, or however long in the show? The show feels like 3 hours, by the way, even though it's not. Anyway, Aichner goes for second brainbuster. Fandango makes a save. Fandango super kicked both of his opponents and misses the Bobby Eaton flying leg drop, which, for the record, I saw him do on the Indies in like the early 2000s. He's been doing it that long. Ouch. Anyway, Aichner hits a gut wrench suplex and a German for a 2 count. Second hot tag leads to Breeze going nuts. He gets cut off, was superplexed. Breeze gets hit with a penalty kick. Imperium goes for the European bomb. Broken up. Breeze with a Huracan Rana on Aichner and hooked the leg to score the pinfall. Champions took a lot of punishment in this match. They don't look too good, and the challengers can't get it done with all they threw at Fandango and Breeze, so they don't look good either. Not a fan of this match. Casey Catanzaro and Caden Carter defeats Zai Ling and Giselle Camara. Not a fan of this either. Catanzaro pinned Lee to win the match. Carter and Lee start in the match. They do some decent chain wrestling. This is fine. Catanzaro and Carter hit a series of double teams. They could really do a lot with this, but they're not really pushing these two. Camara cuts off Catanzaro and gets some heat. Carter comes back off a hot tag. She cleans house. Catanzaro tag backs in for the finish. Catanzaro hits a crucifix on Lee, and Carter hits Lee with a running big boot. Catanzaro flips over into a cradle, scores the pin. Good teamwork, but they're not pushing the team, so what's the point? And then Drake Maverick approached Killian Dane backstage, and Dane said they were not partners, and Maverick was on his own. And Maverick plays stupid and says, "See you out there." Drake Maverick and Killian Dane defeat the Undisputed Era via disqualification. Not a fan of this either, basically because you're treating Maverick and Killian Dane like afterthoughts, and they're defeating, some of the better talent you have on the NXT brand, maybe in the WWE at all. Anyway, Fish uses a chair to cause the DQ. Story focused on Dane and Maverick and not the actual wrestlers who can draw you money. Not that there is drawing money in the pandemic, but you get my point. Hopefully someday there will be the need to draw money, and Maverick and Dane have not been positioned to do so. Anyway, Maverick starts the match without Dane, and Maverick gets beat up for quite a while. Undisputed Era completely in control. They beat him up for several minutes. Dane's backstage watching the whole thing. He's laughing at all this. And the match goes through commercial break. Maverick comes back. He still has issues. William Regal confronts Dane backstage, and Regal basically guilts him into going out there. It's Dane finally goes out there because William Regal makes him feel like a complete tool. Dane tells Maverick to take it like a man, and Dane goes to leave. Undisputed Era start talking trash to him, so Dane confronts them. Dane goes nuts on Undisputed Era. Fish hits Dane with a chair for the DQ. Maverick takes the chair away from Fish, and Fish walked into a punk kick from Dane. Undisputed Era flees. Then Dane and Maverick are angry at them. Dane knocks him out with a punch and leaves. This is just goofy. No one can stay a team. Ha ha ha. Anyway, Jake Atlas outside leaving the building. He's asked for an interview. He's asked about challenging Ciampa. He said the announcer says this is brave. He gets attacked by Ciampa. Kyle O'Reilly runs in to confront Ciampa and break up the fight. Ciampa said he would see Atlas next week, and he also said he'd see O'Reilly soon too. Ciampa and O'Reilly at least is interesting, so it's going somewhere. William Regal announced the Gauntlet Eliminator match, which is to determine the number one contender for the NXT Championship. 2 wrestlers start in the ring. 4-minute intervals. Another wrestler enters the match. Elimination via pinfall or submission. Winner faces Balor for the title at TakeOver in October, on October the 4th. Gauntlet match takes place on the next episode of NXT. They do not tell us, I don't think, who any of the combatants are, or many of the combatants are. Champion Atlas is officially announced for next week as well. And a women's battle royal. So basically AEW has very little trouble, if any, to win the ratings war next week, because there's absolutely nothing compelling on NXT next week for an average viewer. So Damian Priest against Timothy Thatcher in the main event, and Priest wins to retain his title. I don't get Priest myself. I understand he's a big guy. I understand he's got a unique look and voice, but he's just not for me. He's not my cup of tea. And certainly not a fan of him being chosen to be the North American Championship, or champion. So, grappling here, better match than I expected. I'll give him credit, but Thatcher led him to it. They trade shoulder blocks and strikes. Priest goes to the outside. Thatcher sends Priest into the steps and gives him a double underhook suplex on the floor. We go to commercial, come back from commercial. Thatcher keeps the match on the ground, and he's working on the arm, and he's been working on it on and off all match. Priest is about to begin a comeback, but again with another cutoff by Thatcher. Priest fires up after the second commercial break, and then Priest with a back elbow and a Falcon Arrow for a near fall, but if his arm's been worked over for like days and a half, should he even have the energy for that? Probably not. Thatcher goes for an armbar, gets kicked in the head in the process. Priest misses a senton. Thatcher catches Priest with a Fujiwara armbar, and he's able to escape. Thatcher's like the best pure wrestler on your brand. Why is a guy like Priest able to escape everything he does? This doesn't make sense. It doesn't have logical story to it. Priest gets a rope break, though. Thatcher goes for the double underhook, and Priest gets the modified choke. Priest is still selling the arm. He can't lift Thatcher for a choke slam. Priest gets a modified Wookiee, not so great looking Uranage, and Priest then follows up with a South of Heaven chokeslam for a 2 count. So you finally get him to use the power move and only get to 2. That's just goofy. Thatcher goes for the arm bar. Priest counters into a spin kick. Priest comes off the top rope with a spinning heel kick. Priest then executes the Reckoning and beats Thatcher via pinfall to retain the title. Not good for Thatcher. Priest is in the wrong position, but that's where they're going. So anyway, needless to say, AEW wins handily in this Wednesday Night War. We'll be back with more World Class and maybe some new stuff. Who knows? Anyway, subscribe, like, comment, do all that good stuff. Till next time, keep your feet on the ground, your mind in the moment.